Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Life Show with Musart. Today I have a very interesting guest. Her name is Noreen Khan and she's a fitness coach. I'm sure you've heard of mindset coaches, life coaches, but she is a fitness coach. I wonder what that's all about. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, Salama. So, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Yes, repeating myself, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so thank you so much for coming all the way.
Absolute pleasure.
And I've been following some of your work, and mashallah, it's very, very interesting. And you talk about eating disorders, you talk about lots of things that I can relate to myself.
Yeah.
So let's emphasize more what a fitness coach is.
Okay, the way I describe it is it's more of a mindset approach to fitness. So we cover the health and we cover the exercise side and the food, obviously, side of it. But I like to work a lot on the coaching side and the mindset side of my clients. So we kind of look at a lot of the time, I think women struggle with habits and the way they've attached certain habits to their foods, whether they're binge eating, whether they are, do you know what I mean, like eating clean all day and then suddenly overeating in the evenings. So that kind of thing, we really, really look at the mindset approach and what kind of habits they've picked up and where the habits are stemming from. So we dig a lot deeper. It's a little bit, I guess you could say it's a little bit like counselling, but it's different in the sense that it's not diagnostic, obviously. It's just trying to find out the causes of why their relationship with food is the way that it is.
Okay, interesting. So what got you into this and how long have you been a fitness coach?
I've had a massive passion for fitness for about 10 years now.
Wow.
So when my eldest son was born, I was making my way to the top of the stairs like you do. I had to sit down because I was so out of breath. And
that happens.
Yeah. I have 3 kids and I thought, do you know what, I can't afford to be in this position. I've got 3 young children to look after and my health and fitness is really important. Mm-hmm. So it just stemmed from there. I started doing my at-home workout DVDs. That's where it started from. Fell pregnant again a few years later, just as I got my body back, and I think a lot of ladies do. Fell pregnant again. And when my youngest was born, it was just something I wanted to do for myself. It was, obviously, I loved what I was doing. I loved the results that I was getting from it. And I wanted to take that passion out and help other ladies as well. So I decided to get my qualifications as a personal trainer. And also in the process, I decided to, further on down the line, after I'd been doing it for a few years, go into the mindset side of things, because a lot of the ladies that I was working with, they were getting results, but then when we'd finish working together, so for example, 6 weeks of personal training together, they'd do really well. I'd see them again 2 months later and they'd be back to square one. And that always troubled me. It was like, do you know what I mean?
Isn't that like a plateau though, isn't it?
Well, plateau as well, but I think they'd fall back into their old habits.
Yeah,
and again, because we hadn't done any mindset work and I wasn't aware of the mindset and how that actually affected their results. So that set me on my path and journey, looking into human behaviour, human habits, and just how we build habits. And
so speaking of it, so obviously, as you said, it's your passion and stuff like that. There must be a reason why it's your passion. You must have had some kind of form of, did you ever have any, like say, binge eating and stuff like that? Did you have those kind of troubles? Because some people, I think, I go through this myself, but not too bad. I wouldn't call it as binge eating because that'd be just too hard. Like, when I'm so tired and something, you just want to pick me up and have sugar.
Yeah.
That's just, obviously, it doesn't last very long, but it's just nice at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it just gets you through that moment.
Yeah.
So can you relate to that? What would you say about that? Would you going through something similar?
Definitely. When my youngest was born, I found myself in a really weird relationship with food. So, and it wasn't, I was doing it without being aware of what I was doing, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, the first time I actually picked up on what I was doing was when we were away on holiday in the lakes. And I'd just stand there in the kitchen and I was eating, looked down before I realised I'd eaten a whole packet of scones.
Yeah, nice. I like scones.
But I love scones as well.
Yeah.
But do you know what? One, fair enough, with your cup of tea. But I'd gone through 8 without actually realising.
Were you actually hungry?
No, not at all. And it was like,
was you in a daze or hypnotised that you just?
That's what it felt like. Okay. It was like zombie mode, as I call it. So I don't know, just kind of switched off to it all, zoned out, ate it, come back around and thought, oh my gosh, what have I just done? And it was a pattern then that I started picking up on another time when I was praying, and it was just, I just got this overwhelming urge to just want to go and binge and just go and eat a packet of cookies. And then off I found into the kitchen, packet of cookies. Then as I came round, as I call it.
Were you big at this time or?
No, well, as a result, the weight did start to pile on.
Okay.
Now, that was a concern for me because I was a personal trainer at the time, and I was thinking, gosh, do you know what I mean? How can I give advice to ladies about healthy eating and exercise and looking after yourself when I'm secretly eating packets of cookies every night? I don't understand how that's going to work. So I got into an exercise routine as well, where I would binge eat during the day, and then I'd spend hours trying to burn off the calories.
Oh, no.
And
that's exhausting.
it was. It really, mentally, it was just a really awful place to be. I think I was just trying to compensate. So I would eat loads, and then I'd deprive myself. And then when I ate loads, I was in the cycle of then over-exercising, then depriving again, and then eating. And it just got
How long did the cycle last for?
Like 2-3 years.
2-3 years?
Yeah.
Did you put on, so obviously you're too scared to put the weight on?
Yeah.
Because of your image?
Yes, yeah.
Ah, okay. So how did you come out of this? I mean, like, for 2-3 years, didn't your partner notice this? Didn't your children notice what's mommy doing? She's eating all of these biscuits and, you know, because, you know, obviously your husband's quite into, like, eating healthy eating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Didn't that affect it? Was you, like, hiding all this from him?
I did. I became really good at hiding and eating secretly in the kitchen during the day when he was at work, just kind of eating as much as I could. I mean, there was times, I remember one time when he'd bought, I kind of said to him, Shaf, can you stop buying biscuits and cookies and stuff for the kids that they take for their lunch? Not because, I mean, the excuse that I used was, I want obviously the kids to be a bit healthier, I want to put fruit in there instead. But it wasn't that, it was simply because I would eat them all.
Oh,
so whenever he'd bring the shopping home, it was heartbreaking for me. I'd go through the bags, and as I was unpacking the bags, I'd be thinking, gosh, this isn't going to make it as far as the kids' lunchboxes. I'm going to end up eating all these.
Didn't he ask you about this? Like, was the food cold or?
No, never.
So what did you replace with the kids' meals then?
I just used to go out and buy other things.
Oh, so you used to go out and buy
Yeah, and replace it that way. So he never clicked on. And I think as binge eaters, that's one thing that we become really good at doing, is keeping everything under lock and key. Smiling.
Do you think it's like a relationship thing? It's like you're hiding it. Is it exciting to just be having that moment with food? You know, I know it sounds silly.
Not at
like
all.
You're having this relationship with food. It's like having an affair.
Yes.
So you're just sitting alone and like, okay, I'm going to eat this cake all by myself. Yeah. And, you know, I can just enjoy this pizza all by myself and nobody's going to judge me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or you're just too, if somebody catches you, they're like, oh, why are you eating that rubbish?
Yeah.
That's what it is, isn't it?
Definitely.
And that, to be a fitness instructor, like, why are you eating that?
Yeah. And so, the buzz you get from it, and it's an initial buzz, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? I'm going to eat all this. And because you've deprived yourself over such a long period of time, you think, gosh, all I can think about is cookies or cake or whatever it is that you haven't let yourself eat. And then you get that hit, obviously physical hit with the sugar rushing in. And then it's like a big massive slump.
Yeah, so it's like once you've eaten food, you're on the high, and then later on you just start probably. Did you get depressed? I would like to ask. Did you ever feel depressed? Were you probably sitting down and crying about it?
Yeah. There were times when I think you just beat yourself up about it so much because you think, what is wrong with me? I'm so weak-willed. I can't even control my food. Yeah. What is wrong with me? It's food, and that's something you do. You beat yourself up about. So you get yourself. And that's why you do it quietly and in secret, because you don't want anybody judging you. You don't want anybody looking at you, because you think, do you know what? One slice of pizza, fair enough. A couple of cookies, fair enough. But when you eat the whole packet and you've gone through like 3/4 of the pizza in one sitting, then yeah, it's not a nice place to be. It was.
So how did you come out of this? So because there's lots of emotions linked to it. So it's like emotionally attached to food in a way that if you don't eat it, it's not going to be there. You just like this thing, isn't it? Oh my God, if I don't have this now, I'm not going to get it again. Let me just quickly take it now.
Yeah.
So what is it, do you think, that is the main cause of this? What is it? Why do people go into this sort of stage?
For me personally, it was, I think it was looking for a certain feeling. Because, and how I explain it is, it's like a pizza. For me, I used to have huge issues around pizza. And when I got help and when I got coaching around it and when I got to the bottom of where my issues were coming from, it was something so simple. And it was simply the fact that as kids, when we were growing up, every Friday was pizza night. And we'd sit together as a family and the kids would be together, mum and dad would be together, everybody would be chatting about what they'd been doing all week. And it was just a really, really nice time where everybody connected and we got to sit down. Now, when I was working with a coach, it was like working back and trying to figure out where that had come from, and linking pizza into that feeling of happiness and that feeling of connection and joy with the family was something that I was doing without actually realising it.
So you were just missing that time?
That's all it was, yeah. So every time I had pizza, I would associate happy feelings with that pizza. So I wanted more of that happy feeling, so I'd have more pizza to try and get that happy feeling. And then before you know it, you've gone through 3/4 of a pizza, and then you're not feeling happy at the end of it because you can't physically move, and then you start to feel, again, that negative talk that I'm weak-willed.
Why have I push yourself to exercise?
Exactly. And then we'd be stuck in that cycle again, and the binge would continue.
So how did you find help? How did you get out of this?
There was an awesome book that I read because I knew it wasn't normal behaviour. I tried to...
fed up?
Yeah, I was hitting a wall, and it was like I spoke to my sister about it, and just trying to explain to somebody that you have an addiction to food was so difficult, because it's not like you can leave food alone and never touch it again, like with drugs or anything like that. It's there. You need it to survive, so you'll always have it around you. So it just sounded really silly when I was saying it. And when I reached out for help, I did see a psychiatrist. I spoke to somebody for weeks and weeks. I saw so many different people, and it just brought back up old feelings, and it was just going back to your childhood kind of thing and being able to relate. But what I didn't find helpful was we'd just talk about it and that was it. So I would walk away.
There was no solution.
No, I'd walk away from the session like really, I just feel really exposed and vulnerable. And it's like all these things have just been brought back up, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with all this now?
You just go home and start binging again.
That's what it was, exactly.
To make yourself feel better.
Of course, because then you'd feel really depressed and sad, and then again, that cookie would be there, the pizza would be there, and you'd just be back on top of that and eating away again. So I thought, you know what, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. I even tried hypnosis. I was just desperate. I was trying anything and everything at the time. And then I was reading on Google, like you do, just researching a little bit, because I'm a nerd and I love reading about so much.
Okay.
And I came across a book called Brain Over Binge by somebody called Catherine Hanson. Now, she had gone through a very similar experience where her binging had started from a very young age, and she had got stuck into this cycle where she was binge eating and then compensating with exercise.
But you know, what I'd like to ask you this question is, this binge relationship with food and emotions and stuff like that, does that come from because you, as a child, you didn't have someone to turn to? Do you think that could be related?
Yeah.
So like you don't have a friend that you could talk to about and stuff like that. So the food just becomes like a companion.
It does, yeah.
So it's just there to understand you, make you feel better. Do you think that could be related?
Very much so, very much so.
Because like it could be like, you know, having enough friends to talk to when you're younger.
Yeah.
And like you're growing up, you know, or maybe you break up with friends, and you know that you had, you know, that could understand you, who did understand you. But now you don't have that anymore.
No.
So it's just, you just rely on the food.
Yeah, and I think growing up as well, because my mum suffered a lot from depression, and I was the eldest daughter. It's like you take on that mummy role automatically, because I just desperately wanted to help her when she had bad days, and I'm sure everybody knows.
And you can't obviously go outside and talk to people about this.
No, because I mean, at friends, when you're at school and you're 10, 11, it's like you want to talk about playground things. You don't want to be talking about.
Or going to school and leaving home life like that. It becomes like escapism. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to bring it up. So for you, it's just like that free time. You know, you just moved away from that situation. Yeah. So, as you said, so it's lots of things interlinked, isn't it? Yeah. It's like childhood and stuff like that. So, like when people have other eating disorders, so it's like bulimia, anorexia, is, you know, like when people actually eat and then they make themselves vomit as well. Yeah. Did you ever have something like? Did you ever make yourself vomit with food, or? I tried on many occasions. Really? Yeah, and I failed miserably at it. So I just thought, let me exercise. That's it, exactly. And but another thing people do is take laxatives. I didn't actually try that. And do you know what? It's a blessing, because that's a really slippery slope to get into. And the fact that I couldn't make myself sick was a blessing as well, because I think that takes it to a whole new... Yeah, it does take it to a whole new level. And to be able to punish it. And a lot of the time, as I was scared, was the kids would hear. Yeah. It's like you'd have the tap running and trying to make yourself physically gag. It wasn't a nice place to be, and you're consciously thinking, gosh, what if my daughter's outside? They're going to see this, and they're going to adapt to the same thing. Of course, and that was always a worry for me. So the easiest way for me to hide it was to just exercise and spend hours doing that, because
I was a health professional anyway. Nobody questioned that. They were just like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome. How do you manage to do all this and fit it in around your kids? And so that encouragement again, it was just like, okay, this is cool. Nobody's going to know about it. Nobody's going to find out about it.
So coming back to the psychology, a psychologist that you met, and you said psychiatrist, sorry, and you said they didn't give you a solution. You read the book, so the book obviously helped you.
Yeah. Now the book, what it made sense to me and clicked was the neuroscience side of it, because I love science and I loved it. You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever outgrown that from a very young age. And now the way she describes it in the book is very simply just how, and she does take it very simple. I mean, obviously it's a lot more complicated than that. For the sake of the book, she just takes it down simply to how we create habits. It's like your brain's a big computer and you can program it to do anything you want it to do. So when the binge eating first started, it's like the first time you do something, the brain kind of picks it up and thinks, oh, do you know what I mean? What's this? What's this about? Kind of curious. If you do it again, that connection is made that little bit stronger. The more you repeat that behaviour again and again and again, what the brain will do, will take it and stick it into the habit part of the brain, so the habit centre. So it becomes a habit. So anytime you feel stressed, the brain will go back and think, what did you do last time you were stressed? You ate a packet of cookies, it made you feel great. Let's go straight back there, grab that packet of cookies and you'll feel great again. It's temporarily, but
that's a drug, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's addiction.
Yeah. So with the way she described it, it was awesome, because I was like, oh my gosh. And
I can relate to this.
Yeah, I can so relate to that. And the biggest thing I took away from that book was there's no shame in what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not to blame for this.
And I'm not the only one.
Yeah. And do you know what I mean? The guilt and all the times I was beating myself up about what I'd gotten into and how I'd gotten into it. All that was kind of like put to bed a little bit, because it was like, yeah, I've just, and it's not as simple as program my brain to do it, but for me, that was like, oh my gosh, that's all I've done. I've just created this habit.
And it can be changed.
Yeah, and I can uncreate this habit.
Did she give tips on how to change it?
Yeah, she did. So a lot of the time it's just you feel the stress, or you're feeling bored, or you're feeling angry, whatever emotion it is, and where you would normally turn to food is just sitting with that feeling and allowing yourself to feel that. Because a lot of the time feeling makes us feel uncomfortable, and we don't want it. We don't want to feel that uncomfort. So we'll eat that packet of cookies to give ourselves a sugar high so that feeling goes away. Now just being able to sit with your own feelings and kind of process them and understand, so consciously making that choice to sit, why has this happened? Why am I feeling like this? And actually have like that inner dialogue within yourself. What's caused this? Do you know what I mean? Is eating a packet of cookies really going to help me? And just being able to break it down like that. Now it does sound simple. It's not always that simple.
How long did it take you to break into this habit, break out of the habit?
Do you know what? Occasionally I still find myself, very occasionally, where I go back into that habit. But now I'm aware of what I'm doing, so I can consciously pull myself straight back out. I still have cheat meals. I love my cheat meals. It's got to be done. Do you know what I mean? I still love my pizza, and I love Friday night pizza with the kids and having my cookie dough. But now I'm conscious of what I'm doing, and I think that's the biggest thing, is just being aware of your own behaviours is what gave me back the power over this, because I'd become so powerless.
Would you not say it's because you didn't speak to anyone about it? So did you not speak to your husband about it? Did he not try to help you?
Yeah.
Did he not try to understand?
He was awesome all the way through it.
Really?
When I spoke to him about it, I mean, he helped the best that he could. Now, how I describe it when I speak to my clients is he was in my game. So the advice that he would give me, because he was so close to me, it's like you can't take it seriously. So it's like your dad teaching you to drive.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, isn't it?
You need an external person.
Yeah, that's what it was. And an external factor. So when I worked with my coach and I kind of processed it.
So you found a coach instead of a psychiatrist?
Yeah. For me, I just wanted solutions. So when I did speak to the psychiatrist, and it was like that, a lot of the time said, write your triggers down, which was awesome. So it's like certain things would trigger me. So for me, tiredness is a massive thing. Even now, if I'm really tired,
it gets to you, doesn't it? You don't want to be tired, and it
No.
just makes you, and you want to start having the food that they've left over as well.
Yeah.
So you just do that to fuel up.
Of course you do, just to get you through, don't you?
Mums are like, cars walking without petrol and just pick it up.
And just anything straight, of course.
Yeah.
And again, that's habits again we build without actually realising it, and subconsciously that habit gets imprinted in there.
Yeah, then you end up having too much.
Yeah. And then automatically you go leftovers, I can't put the leftovers in the bin. I can't put them, do you know what I mean? They got wasted. That's horrible. So I'll just eat them. And picking up those habits and getting back into those habits without actually realising what you're doing. And that's all the subconscious brain kicking in. So when you consciously think about it and you make yourself think about what it is that you're doing and you question yourself, do you know what I mean? Is this behaviour going to help me to where I want to get to? Is it going to help me lose weight? Do you know what I mean? And from that, when you do sit down and you ask yourself, then that's when you can pull yourself back.
Were you ever bullied as a child? Was you ever chubby when you were growing up? Or was you like...
I did feel. I remember one incident in particular, and this again probably does relate into the whole disorder, was being weighed.
You never liked being weighed?
Year 6. You know what the nurses were like back then?
Yeah, yeah.
In you go, stand on the scales. And I think just seeing her face and seeing all my friends stand on and, you know, their weights were fine, their weights were fine. And I was just a chunky chap, like you are, a bit of puppy fat here and there. Yeah. And I stood on and I thought, oh my gosh, my number is so big compared to everybody else's. Oh why? Why am I? And she didn't say anything, but her face was just like, oh. And that was it. And I think you kind of automatically pick up on that. You don't have to. She didn't have to say anything. It was just like, oh, I'm different. Why am I different? Do you know what I mean? Am I actually quite?
Did your friends ever pick on you?
No, never had that issue. But that weight, that definitely stuck with me. I still remember that day.
Is that fear still in you now, like standing up in scales? I think it can carry on.
Gosh, yeah. I remember when I was deep in the eating disorder, I'd be weighing myself 7, 8, 9 times, 10 times a day. A day. Where it'd be like, oh my gosh, why have I not lost weight? I've worked out so hard. I've been so good with my food. Why have I not lost weight? And again, that control.
I think that happens to a lot of people, especially when you go on a new diet.
Yes.
Obviously, it's water weight that you're losing at the beginning, and you get excited, and then obviously later on the fat comes off, but then that's a slower process, and then people cannot understand that. They get into a very fixated thought, oh my God, I'm not losing enough weight yet. Yeah. The diet's not working, then they, like you said, then they go back to, I might as well just eat chocolate, I'll be fine. Yeah, yeah. Do you know? So you weren't bullied, as you say, but obviously small instances played a big part into your life that you hold on to as you grew older.
Definitely.
But, you know, so how long did it take you to come out of this whole habit of, you know, depression and eating
and breaking the habit? Good part of probably about 2 years.
Took you to break through 2 years?
Well, from when I first became aware of it, of what I was doing.
And then seeking other help.
And what I was scared to seek external help. I was like, no, I can do this myself. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be. So I read, like you do, you read up about it, and then you try things here and there on the internet, what other people suggest. Never worked long term. So I thought, I've got to help for this. I've got to get help for it. So I spoke to Shaf about it. So, like I said, we went to seek professional help. So we tried the therapies, we tried the hypnosis, and it was temporarily fine. But then I just kind of crept back into my old habits. And it just became a really long, frustrating road. And it was like, gosh, is there ever going to be an end to this? And maybe I'm just going to be like this. And it's just, and it's just something that I'm going to have to deal with and just be able to kind of work through. But what didn't make sense to me was like, sometimes I'd be stressed and I'd be fine. I wouldn't reach out for a packet of cookies. And but sometimes I'd be stressed and it'd be straight down. So when I was working through the triggers that the therapist used to say to what's your triggers, it's like, but if stress was my trigger, why sometimes am I not binge eating and why is it sometimes that I am? It just didn't, that inconsistency didn't make sense to me. And having to write down all my triggers and all this information for me, I was like, do you know what, I'm a mum of 5. I don't want to be doing this. I just want to know why I'm behaving like this.
You also got this another stresses as a role model.
Yes.
To your children, and you know, when you've got daughters and whatever, sons, whatever, you know, it just becomes like a big impact. You don't want them to be going through the same thing because it's horrible. Yeah,
without a doubt. And the fact that I was in the personal training business, and everybody, the first thing people do when they approach you as a personal trainer is look you up and down.
Yeah.
And whether they do it subconsciously or not, It's like that's the image.
I would do that.
Yeah, of course.
So that person is fit themselves before they train.
Of course, yeah.
It's
and
an actual thing.
Of course it is. And then so it's like having to fit into that. And that's what I think where the over-exercising came in, because I had to keep myself. And people were picking up on it. I looked physically ill.
Did you? You got really, really thin.
Really thin. And my face always loses weight first. So I became quite emaciated in my face.
I wish I had that.
Oh, the cheekbones.
My cheeks won't go down. Okay.
They're beautiful as they are. So they are.
I've got. See what I mean? I wouldn't say it's bad as depression, but I've got to think about my cheeks. Like I need my cheeks to look small.
Oh,
contouring's not right. But anyway. So you looked really drained.
I did, yeah. And people would make comments, and I'd be like, "You're just jealous." Do you know what I mean? What? There's nothing wrong with me. Do you know what I mean? I'm fine. And I think when you're so deep in it, you don't see it. And it's like when it kept happening, and people who hadn't seen me for a while were like, "Oh my gosh, Noreen, are you ill?" I was like, "No, I'm perfectly fine, thank you."
We'll come back to that. Okay, we're going to go for a very short break. Enjoy the video, and we'll come back to Noreen because I'm going to touch on a very interesting point about people's visions and perceptions. We'll be right back.
Oasis Banqueting Hall, Barking, is East London's first choice for any occasion, offering a range of services and facilities to suit your needs. Whether it's a wedding, birthday, anniversary, or religious service, 180 to 1,000 guests, you can trust us to make your event truly special. Oasis Banqueting Hall, Barking, the perfect choice for your occasion. For bookings, call 0208 594 2222.
Special offer is going on at Salma Designer Abaya House. 20% discount on all our Hajj and Umrah products. 500 gram Ajwa dates are only £10. Come and receive a special offer. Salma Designer Abaya House, 118 Whitechapel Road, London E1 1JE.
Welcome back. We were talking about how people perceive us as human beings and we want to be thin and stuff like that. So you said people were saying you look too skinny.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't win, can you? People saying you look too fat, and now they're saying you look too skinny. So so like you said, you started to lose too much weight from eating all the sugary stuff.
Yeah.
But then over-exercising. So when you said over-exercising, were you like something an hour a day or 2 hours a day?
Yeah.
How bad was it?
It's about 2 to 3 hours a day.
2 to 3 hours?
Yeah.
What form of exercise were you doing?
Really intense cardio.
Insanity?
Yes, gosh, yeah.
I
Definitely.
don't know how you did insanity. I did 15 minutes of insanity. I was on the floor.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah,
it's not for everyone. No, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, any chance I got. There was one time when I'd tell my husband I was ironing clothes, or I'd be doing the uniforms upstairs, and I'd be secretly upstairs working out, simply because...
Can you not hear you through the ceiling?
I'd do all the modified versions, so I'd still be, do you know what I mean, working
Why
hard.
didn't you do yoga or something that was a bit more calming?
No, I wanted to, because it was, the majority of the time it was post-binge, so it was like, I've eaten all these calories, I need to expel all these calories, otherwise they're going to get stored as fat, and I don't want that to happen. That's not going to happen.
Was this something that you learned, how fat works? Is that what it is? Like how to burn fat at what time? Because part of your education of being a fitness instructor, was that part of the fact that, okay, if I run now and we'll burn it instantly, it's not going to pile on. Was that part of your learned knowledge?
I think all my knowledge, if I'd actually applied that, I think all that went out the window at that point, because I was just, do you know what, I've eaten all these calories, it's like, I don't know, 400 calories, I need to get these 400 calories out of me. And I know it doesn't always work like that, it doesn't physically work like that. But when I was in that zone, it was like, no, I was focused, that was the only thing that mattered at that time, and I was going to do it, and I don't care if it meant I was up there at midnight with my workout gear on, sweating away. I think what we underestimate is how much willpower we actually, in an eating disorder, how much willpower goes into that, and how much energy it takes to be able to keep that up, and that was huge. And when I did start to come out of it...
2 years is a very long time.
It is.
That's actually 5 years, more or less.
Yeah, it does end up being,
It's a long time.
And when you realise how much energy you put into that, and then I started thinking, you know what, all this time and I am putting into this, what if I started doing something alternative with that time? Do you know what I mean? And that's another thing that scared me as well. When I did start to come out of it, it was like, that was my identity. Who am I after this? What's going to happen if I don't have my eating disorder? Who am I then? And that was really scary as well. It was like, well, what if I just become a no one? Because all these years, this is who I am, this is what I've done, what's going to happen to me afterwards? And that used to really scare me.
It's like creating a whole new identity.
Yeah, so it's like an alter ego kind of thing. It's like, this is who I am. Now, if I break away from that, who am I going to become? Am I going to like who I become? What am I going to do with my life? Do you know what I mean? All these hours I've spent exercising, and what's going to happen and all that. And you kind of overthink everything because all these what ifs.
I'm just thinking about it. 3 hours, 7 days a week?
I wouldn't know. 7 days a week, weekends. I mean, so because husband takes a couple of days off. Some days it was really difficult, and on those days they were the restrictive days, so I'd be really careful what I ate. So it was like minimum. But then, because I'd been so restricted the day before, the next day, obviously, do you know what I mean? Your brain isn't interested in what size you want to be, what your body wants to look like. Your brain is interested in survival, and it will override. That instinct for survival will override any physical need for being a size 8 or wanting to look a certain shape. And I think that's what used to happen with me. So
some people started judging you as well, like you said, like that you're so skinny.
Yeah.
And then you used to didn't you go home and cry about it, or like get really, really upset?
I did, yeah. And I used to try and write it down. And sometimes I go back over my old journals, and it's really sad because it's like I was at such a...
You kept journals?
I did, yeah. It wasn't very often, but then, when sometimes it's just there in your head.
Because you can't really talk to anyone, so you write it down.
Yeah, so it's like, it's an outlet, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what I encourage my clients to do now as well.
Shouldn't you, throw that away because it's negative?
I think how I use it now is as a progression. I just look back and think, gosh, that's where I was. Look at where I am now. So it helps me track my progress as well. I could think of it as a negative thing, but I just look back and think, wow, that's where I was. Look at where I am now. And it's awesome. Do you know what I mean? I've made all these steps. I've done all this.
Do you ever tear up when you read it again?
Yeah, I think it was.
Because you can take yourself back emotionally to what you went through at that time.
Yeah.
So it just reminds you of where I've gone to, what I've become.
Yeah.
So so people were calling you skinny and stuff like that. So how much weight did you lose? Can you give numbers, figures? With how many kilos would you say?
I was probably down to about 8 stones at the time.
With 5 children. With
5 children. And it was, it was
too skinny.
Very emaciated.
Didn't your husband notice you've gone so skinny? Didn't he say to you what's going on? Why are you losing so much weight?
I think he knew what was going on. I had spoken to him about it, but I think he was helpless as well because he just didn't know what to do.
Because obviously he knows that's your passion.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to intervene and say why because it's your passion and make you feel uncomfortable more. Yeah. So he's probably confused as well, what to
without it, yeah. And I mean, he supported me. We would go
together when you realised what the problem was.
And we'd go together for therapist appointments.
8 stones is a lot.
Yeah, it is a tiny amount.
That's like a 13-year-old.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate.
You must look like one of your kids.
It was. I really did shrink down, and it was at the time you don't see it, and it's only when you look back.
So what kind of people come up to you and say, "Oh, you're too skinny and you want to be a fitness instructor"? What people would these be? Clients? Would these be family or?
Mums in the playground at school.
Really?
Yeah, they just come over. Aunties as I call them. They just go. Yes, Auntie G's would just come over and say, "Oh, Noreen, what have you done to yourself?"
Then I say, "We'll give you some roti and you'll be fine."
They just said, "You should eat." That's what they. You know what aunties are like. They don't mince the words, do they? Well, why don't you eat a bit more, Noreen? That was it. So you'd be shocked at how much.
This is one thing that people don't realise is and I'm actually quite aware of this now when I'm coming more into the mindset game and I coach people is, you see someone's a bit big and you see someone's very skinny, you instantly, don't go up to them and say, you're too skinny, or you're too thin. You might see someone who's a bit, and it might just be their body makeup, and if you say that, you don't realise it at the time, but it does affect them emotionally. They go home and think, they start looking in the mirror and think, am I too skinny?
Yeah.
Am I too fat? Am I got chubby? But the best thing I just say, oh, you look great.
Yes.
It's just a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
So I think people need to stop, please, perceptifying or whatever it is, or perceiving people as who they are, because they know how. Because some people might be very, very slim because they have a very good bone structure, and then they cannot put on weight, but they are healthy. I know several people like that.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter how much they eat, and God knows I envy them.
Yeah.
They can be extremely skinny and eat whatever they want, and I'm like, I hate you. But I'll say, yeah, you look great, mate. Yeah. No, but it's not, but that's just their body makeup. And I think the way you eat, I had a very lovely conversation with Shafaqat Khan saying, whatever you put in your body, it becomes that makeup, isn't it, of your system. So you are going to override that or underride it or whatever. So not to blame. Just leave them alone, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
so much you can do.
Yeah, and it's just like I always said, you wouldn't go up to a fat person and say, "Oh, you look a bit fat."
Kids do.
Kids do, without a doubt. Kids.
One of my friends. Sorry, it's hilarious.
That's all right.
She's got a very cute daughter. I'm not going to say the name. She's going to kill me.
Yeah.
They're in the waiting room. She saw chubby. She goes, "Oh, mommy, look at that fat lady."
Oh.
And she's only 3.
Bless
She's
her.
adorable. But obviously, the children are just going to say whatever.
Yeah.
But like you said, don't go up to a person and say you're fat. It's not nice.
No. Well, you wouldn't say it to a fat person, so why say it to a skinny person?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have no idea what that person is going through at that
Exactly.
time.
It could be stress.
Of course.
It could have an illness.
Of course. It could be. It could be a million and one things. And I think judging somebody by their outside appearance and their outward appearance is something we need to break away from in society. And words hurt and words stay with people.
Yeah, these are the saying when you're growing up, sticks and stones may break, but the words don't really hurt. But actually, they do.
Yes.
Sticks. When you have a bruise, you will heal. That will heal over time. But internal injuries, they don't.
No, and it does take a lot to be able to, and get down to the bottom of those. And a lot of the time, our relationship with food is, and I always say, the way you treat your body externally is how you feel internally about yourself. So when you're mistreating your body and you are eating crap and you are doing this and that, there is something underlying there that's going on that is making you unhappy, and that's the way you respond. You just kind of throw it out in that way. So
this eating disorder that you had. So how many years ago have you just been? Well, you're fully recovered now.
Yeah.
How many years ago would that be that this
I remember,
lasted?
Gosh, it's been about 2 years now that I've been
fit and healthy.
Yeah, worked through it. Past year, definitely. I think I remember at the beginning of 2016, my New Year's resolution, like everybody does, was I'm going to nail this year. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to get to it and I'm going to finish it. And alhamdulillah, it's taken a lot of conscious effort. It's taken a lot of questioning myself, questioning my behaviours, and a lot of uncomfortable work at times. And there have been times when I've sat there and cried. But to be able to get to the bottom of it and to understand, I now see all those necessary steps that I had to take to get and break this habit and to be able to.
Okay, so I'm going to chew your brain a bit now. So what advice would you give to people, like, obviously you're a fitness instructor and a life coach, I mean fitness coach.
Yeah.
So say, what advice would you give to someone who I want to lose 10 kilos by summer or something. They've got 2 months, I want to lose about 20 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
25 pounds. What advice would you give them?
First thing I always say to my clients, you've got your main goal in mind, it's there in focus, keep that in focus, but don't overwhelm yourself. I think the all or nothing approach is something that we do all the time. So we'll go in, we'll start eating clean, we'll exercise 3 times a week, we'll cut out carbs, we'll stop eating chocolate, everything all together. Now, from a neuroscience point of view, you're just seriously overwhelming the brain, and the brain won't like it. The brain panics. Yeah, you go into panic mode. So so what happens is you'll do it for a week, and then you'll think, can't do this anymore. Do you know what I mean? Or you'll do it for 2 weeks, and then suddenly your weight will plateau. You'll be standing on the scales. And
what causes plateau?
With the body's just adapting. Sometimes it's just.
Could it be water retention?
Without a doubt. I mean, we eat carbs. When you eat certain carbs, water retains and it holds onto it. So you put on a couple of pounds sometimes. It's just that time of the month. Again, you retain water. Yeah. So there's a million reasons that happens. But again, it's when we go in with the all or nothing approach, I'm going to do this, and that's it. I'm never going to touch a bar of chocolate again. You overwhelm yourself and you can't do it. So that's where the yo-yo kicks in. You do it for a week, you come on.
I've gone through that myself. Like, I want to lose weight, and I say 1 week. You do see the differences, but at the end of the week, you're missing it so much.
Yes.
Like your child.
It's all you can think about, isn't it?
You just want to have it, you just want to eat it.
Yeah.
And then you go in and buy it, and you're like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That feeling.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's what.
But I feel personally, and this is my own opinion, is if I deprive myself of chocolate or something for like once a week or something, it makes it worse. I've come to this notion that if I have a little bit of something sweet a day,
yes,
it kicks off the cravings and it kicks off the attacking mode of you can't eat it and stuff like that. I just think, okay, do I need to eat it? Will I be fine? Actually, there's lots of therapies you can do now to control cravings. Have you heard of tapping therapy?
Yes, with the EFT.
EFT, yeah. So you could do that. That would just control the urge, and basically it's just the emotional thing, as Paul McKenna would say.
Yeah.
That once you override it, you're fine. It's just at that moment of time, or maybe anticipation, or when you like say your flight has been missed and you're just a bit cheesed off and you're waiting, and you sort of think, I need a chocolate, And apparently it's a funny story of Paul McKenna. He met a lady on the way, and she said, I'm desperate for chocolate. He said, okay, should I give you something to like stuff? And he just told her EFT. Yeah. Within 2 minutes, she's, oh my God, the craving's gone. Yeah. So it's just like you said, it's emotions, isn't it? Yeah. So what about, where does hunger play a game then? It's like, you know, like if you're hungry. Yeah. You know?
Hunger is always a gradual thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we become so good at overriding what our body is telling us. We kind of switch off to it. Hunger.
I crave chicken and chips once a week.
Chicken. It's got to be done.
It's like, I'm so hungry. And you know what? You just have this feeling, I'm so tired, I've had a long day at work. Yeah. You just go home, I'm like, I really want a box of chicken and chips. That's going to make me feel... And actually, once you eat it, you feel, yeah, I'm relaxed. Yeah. You know, and then obviously fatty foods and fried foods, it's not good for you in the long run. I'm not advising it. But they say fatty foods have this element, actually, of relaxing your body.
Calming effect on it,
yeah. So it should have to be good fats, really, isn't it?
It's not. I think, again, that's the emotion attached to the food, isn't it? So it's like have a bar of chocolate, makes you feel better. Again, it's what it does to you internally, physically. So the chocolate will give you a sugar rush and the endorphins will kick in. There are natural ways of doing that, and we can give ourselves natural endorphins. Exercise is one of the ways of doing that. We become reliant on external sources to give us pleasure, as opposed to, like you said, you know, if you're tired, so what can I do? Do you know what I mean? I don't know, put my feet up, or just take 10 minutes out where I can just sit and do nothing and relax. And again, you'd get the same impact.
And I think the phase only lasts for 10-15 minutes, really. It's a matter about not just rushing into it.
Gosh, yeah.
And just giving yourself time. Yeah. But it takes a bit of discipline, obviously.
Yeah, and that's where the consciousness part kicks in. So, I mean, a lot of the times I get my ladies to, so say, you've had a stressful day at work, you've come home and you want that bar of chocolate. It's like, well, put that bar of chocolate out, that's cool. Go back.
Have your dinner first.
10 minutes later. So go off, do something else, read a book, wash some dishes or whatever it is, you need to catch up. But then come back to it. You see, but that's what it is, training your brain. Yeah. Because that instant hit, because that's what we get used to doing, what that instant hit, we want it now. And I always say it's like a one-click society. It's like when we buy things off the internet, one click, one click, one click.
Well, funnily enough, yesterday I was shopping with my daughter, and you know, like I think the time of the month you have more craving, like you've got to come on. So it was in Poundland, I'm just buying like 3 different types of chocolates, right? Yeah. Bought the Rolos, mini rolls, we bought Bounty and thing, and obviously because you're just hungry and you've been walking and blah blah blah. Yeah. Got home, you know, we went to McDonald's. We had, you know, she had a whatever, and I just binged a bit. I didn't have a meal or whatever, and I just shared whatever with her. And then when I got home, and I just had like two Bounty bar, like the 2 little Bounty things, and I was like, you know, I had to give into it. I was tired. But then for the whole day, like all the other chocolate I bought, my daughter's like, obviously, Mummy can have more. I said, no, you've had chocolate now. I'd roll, and like everything was left on the side. Like your body doesn't crave it anymore. It's like having that little bit. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and it's just that time, I think, is like, if it's relaxing you, it's fine, but it's just not over exceeding the amount. Yeah. Without, you know, it's okay. And in what do you say about guilt? When people feel so guilty, how would you override that then?
Yeah. I think...
What advice do you normally give to your clients, like when it comes to the guiltiness of like, okay, I've just eaten this now. Yeah. You know, I hate myself, and you start criticizing yourself. What would you suggest there?
I think a lot of the time when the guilt kicks in is when they have overindulged. So if they have a couple of chunks of chocolate and they leave it as that, they're quite happy. So they've got a little bit of that sugar hit and they can walk away from it. I think when the overindulgence comes in, that's when the guilt comes in. So it's to the point where they don't feel in control of it anymore. That's where the guilt kicks in. When they can have a couple of chunks, walk away from it, that's it, they're happy with that. When they end up eating 2-3 bars and then go back later on and having some more, that's where the guilt kicks in.
What about the fear of thinking, okay, one tiny piece of chocolate is going to make me put on so much weight? That as well. Don't you feel actually having all these, like, I feel there's certain things, a big connection is people don't eat that much food, but they connect because of their image so much of themselves. I'm so fat, and I'm so big. It makes them big. Yeah. Yeah. Do you get my point? Yeah. That does. And there's people who don't even care about what they eat and they're so slim. Don't you think it's mainly mindset? It's not what you're eating.
I think mindset plays a massive part in it. And one of the things that I always get my clients to work with is their belief system. So if you believe you're fat, and you're telling yourself you're fat, you're going to make choices that are going to you're going to make choices that are going to make you even more fat, basically. Yeah. If you're stuck in a mindset of a fat person, you are going to find yourself making excuses for not working out, because that's not what fat people do. You're going to find yourself making excuses for not eating clean, because fat people don't eat clean. So on a subconscious level, that's what you're setting yourself up to do from right at the beginning. So being able to work on that mindset, and I do challenge a lot of my clients' beliefs, because they have these certain beliefs of, this is the way I am, I'm stuck like this, I'm never going to be able to change. I fail at this all the time. And it's like, okay, you might be failing at this. So, and they get themselves into this mindset of that I am a failure. That's what they label themselves as, a failure. And it's like, well, where are you not a failure? What are you succeeding at in other aspects of your life? And being able to question that and getting them to think about, actually, you know what? I've got an awesome career. I'm really good at what I do at work. I'm such an awesome mum. I am really good with, do you know what I mean, what I give to the world and the way I'm turning up. So being able to then take that and apply it to the...
And I think, and another thing is, I think the expectation, what people think of them.
Yes, that's a massive thing.
Just like media as well, it's just showing thin women everywhere, a perceived image that you should be.
Yeah.
That's another thing I think is the biggest thing of why people, they might be healthy, but it's making them feel like this. As much as we could talk all day.
Bless you. Yes, we could.
I would like to ask you, what advice could you offer the audience that they could start applying straight away that will help them lose weight, or not necessarily lose weight, but be more healthier and have a very positive mindset towards food and weight?
Okay.
So
biggest thing I always say is just start with one thing at a time. Set yourself one goal for that week, whether it's a physical activity goal, whether it's one food goal. So it could be something simple, just like eating a really clean breakfast every day for the next 7 days. That's it. Start with that. Once you've hit that goal, move on to the next goal, move on to the next goal. Really, really simple things. Don't overwhelm yourself. So when you go in for the all or nothing approach, we always end up overwhelming ourselves. We stop doing it. So that's when the yo-yoing kicks in. You will do it for a week and then you fall back off, and then again that failure mentality kicks in. So once you give yourself these little wins over so many weeks, it kind of gives you that focus. Look, do you know what, I'm doing it. I'm starting to lose a little bit of weight. Do you know what I mean? My jeans are starting to feel a little bit looser. And again, I've just done some really, really simple things to be able to bring that into my lifestyle. So I'm a huge fan of just one thing at a time. Concentrate on that, one thing a week, then move on to the next thing, and just gradually building in habits like that.
Thank you very much. That was some amazing advice that I'm going to start trying as well. Thank you for watching, and until next time, the Life Show with Musart.